So we are streaming?
Yeah,
on
we are
YouTube.
We are
yeah,
live
but-
streaming on YouTube right
Only
now.
on YouTube.
Oh, we're live streaming to YouTube. Okay. How many people do we have watching us?
2 right now.
Hello,
Hi,
YouTube people.
two.
I'm going to hit the start webinar button since we're live streaming on YouTube
This
for the
Yeah, we
Zoom
may as
side.
well.
I can't start my camera, by the way.
Oh, webinar is being recorded or hosted.
Hi,
We
everyone.
still have some time.
Welcome to Wild West Hackin Fest, our very first time doing this with Zoom, and we are nailing it.
And now
Nailed
my dog
it.
is barking.
Oh, good. So, hi, everybody. Welcome. Let's see.
Oh boy.
I'm having a morning. Is it Monday?
Feels like it.
Decided that it's Monday.
It's the Mondayest Wednesday of the
gosh.
week.
It's
Erica,
true.
are you not able to get your camera working? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it says that it's not enabled. So if I click at, to start video, it says unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it. So
Oh, so
I
it's
might
our
have to-
thing we have to do.
I might have to
Shame
be
on you,
a
Brian.
co-host or on the security settings.
Hold on, let me check it out. I didn't realize it was me that had to do something.
Well, for those of you that are joining us, this is what we call pre-show banter. Usually we would have done this before pre-show banter, but we're doing it all live. Yay. So welcome everybody to the webcast. This is not the actual content yet, so we will get into that soon. That'll start right at the top of the hour at 1. But this is so you want to build a community in InfoSec, and we're building a community right now. You're seeing the behind the scenes. We pulled back the curtain to see where all the magic happens. Welcome everyone.
Well, welcome.
You should
everyone.
have the video now, Erica.
You can all see that we are
Well, there she
not
is.
perfect.
How about Marrelle? Am I pronouncing that right? You're on mute.
It's on mute. And then there's Supriya.
There we go.
Ready?
It's Supriya.
Supriya. I was close. I was so close. Hi.
All good.
Guys.
So welcome.
Working on the digital background.
Yeah. I thought about showing up as like the cat, like the guy that went to court and he was the cat and he
A
was like,
lawyer.
I'm not a cat.
I'm a real person. I'm not a cat.
I'm a real person.
So, Erica, Supriya, and Marrelle, where are you guys all from?
Oh, and my name is Marrelle.
Marrelle. Okay.
I knew I was going to make a mistake. I'm sorry.
No worries. It's a pretty unique name. So I'm based out of Arlington, Virginia. So, but I am looking at DC. So right across the river.
Nice. Not too far from me.
Okay. Also Virginia.
I'm in Virginia. I'm kind of closer. I'm closer to Richmond. So
Oh, cool. Very
yeah. Yeah.
I'm originally from New York, but I live in Pittsburgh and have for almost half my life now, but I'm still
Yeah.
a New Yorker.
Yeah.
New Yorker first.
Awesome. And somebody asked me if I'm sitting in front of Dave Kennedy's DeLorean. Maybe. Maybe. But Dave Kennedy's DeLorean will be with us at Wild West Hackin Fest Deadwood.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Be super.
Yep, Velda's streaming from his driveway,
Yep.
from his garage.
And where are you from, Marrelle?
Yeah, I'm from San Antonio, Texas, but I'm like living in a trailer right now. So trailer life. So we are
Oh, cool.
stopping in Ruidoso, New Mexico right now for a month, but I'm in
Wow.
Denver.
That's exciting.
How do you like living in it's a camper, correct? Or
Yeah, it's a camper with a slide out.
Nice.
you like it? Because I've been thinking that would be a really cool way to live for a while.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and it's pretty the nice part is like cheaper than like living regular life. Your bills is literally your car payments. So it's like instead of you paying rent, car payments, all these other things, it's super nice. And also I thought I'd be really scared about the like sewer lines, but I'm not always the one that like races out there and I'm like, I'm gonna pull it, I got it. And like I'm very fascinated. I don't know why, but it's super cool. It's really exciting. I think everyone should do it. It's like the best decision ever because you can go everywhere and anywhere at any time.
Wow. That sounds like fun. So do you drive the truck that pulls it, or do you like?
Yeah.
See, that's what makes me nervous. I think that would be the hardest part, like backing it into spaces and like just doing the whole pulling. I've pulled the camper before, but it made me so nervous. Just like the sway of it behind you freaks me out.
Yeah, it can get scary, but I think once you get used to it, and it's just like I always told myself, like if I tell myself I'm not going to be scared and I tell myself I'm going to be okay, I'll be okay. And so that's kind of what I've done was just like, I'll be okay. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when it shakes, I'm like, ah! But
I know. I'd be screaming the whole time.
Yeah, I literally like, I looked at my fiance and I was like, I'm gonna shriek here and there because I'm just scared. So just prepare. So there's just random moments of me like, ah, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do that with just regular driving. So I can imagine there would be a lot of screamy situations happening. Hi, Adam. Welcome.
Hello. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear. Yes.
Do you hear yourself, or is there no echo?
No echo.
No echo.
Fantastic.
Echo, echo, echo.
Ryan, your microphone is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
So
you got to get it right up in your face like a radio host. That's the key.
No, I'm doing it wrong then. Here. Better?
It gets better the closer you get.
Yeah. That's funny.
I guess that doesn't look as
a
ridiculous.
radio DJ intro though, like, hey, this is Ryan in the morning coming at you.
Coming at you live.
Guys, I just wanted to add, we're using the Discord server for communication. And I just put an invite in the link or in the chat on Zoom.
Yes.
So now we got both chats.
I know. Like you get a chat and you get a chat.
You can actually see the chat in Zoom.
And it's under so it's of the three, it's the Wild West Hackin. There we go.
It is, and it's the live chat with the cow.
Yes.
We got it. We got a Sweden guy here, a Sweden person.
But in Discord, you can use GIFs.
Yeah.
Or GIFs, whatever you fancy.
I don't know. Listen, I had to come to terms with the fact that it's called a GIF and not a GIF. And I think everybody just needs to come to this, just arrive.
I'm never going to say the other word. It's always GIF.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with a G.
The word that shall not be named.
Hey,
That's
Adam, I got to say, I'm super excited to meet you in person at Way West.
Yes, it'll be very exciting.
Right.
Yeah, Adam's doing the tool shed, right?
He's also doing a talk.
He's doing a talk too.
Awesome. That's yeah, I haven't gotten the final list yet, so that's how I didn't know. Sorry about that. So we are going to be in person, which we're so freaking excited about. We're going to be coming to San Diego in May, and the training, there's pre-conference training. That's May 3rd and 4th, and the conference will start on the 4th and run through the 6th. And I have said this like multiple times, dinner on the Midway is going to be like a highlight of my life. I mean, I grew up watching Top Gun, and it is just like an absolute dream. I cannot wait. So I'm super excited. We'll make sure to post in Discord a link to Way West.
It's
so
there.
if you haven't already, it's already been, look at Velda. She already did it. So if you haven't registered, please do so. We really hope people get to come in person, but we're also going to keep the virtual component with all of our conferences going forward, because we do have a lot of international students that can't travel, or people that just can't travel in general. So we definitely want to make sure that we, knock down the doors and open the floodgates of sharing what we have for all of our community. So we're really excited about that. So we also have some pretty cool training over on our anti-siphon side. Next week, we've got 4 classes running. So that's pretty crazy. Jason's excited about that, I'm sure.
4 this week.
Yeah, we've got 4 classes this week too. But next week we'll have John's, of course, his SOC core skills class. That's going to be in the evening. We're going to try that format out from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then starting on March 1st, we have 3 other classes, enterprise attacker emulation and C2 implant development. Joff likes to trip us up with the name of his class, but he's going to be giving that. That's going to be, it looks like an 8 a.m. start time for his class too. And then we've got a new class, the first running of one of our classes, enterprise attack initial access. And we also have enterprise security for all. So that's pretty exciting. We'll go ahead and make sure to post that information in the live chat as well. So.
All right, guys. I'm notorious for the question of the day.
Yes.
And I do have a question of the day. Oops, sorry. I have a call of the day.
Who's that
here.
caller? That's the question of the day.
I'm going to post it here. Here we go. The question of the day is, while many people wear these every day, over 30% say they don't fit properly and are uncomfortable. What are they?
That's easy. That's super easy.
It is?
They've got to be flip-flops.
Ah, no. T-shirts, masks, underwear.
You know that many people wearing flip-flops?
SFCFs.
I'm a Californian, so I guess I've got like a biased opinion on the amount of people wearing flip-flops at any given time.
All right. Many people wear every day.
Question of the day. While people wear them every day, over 30% say they don't fit properly and are uncomfortable. What are they? I kind of like the underwear.
Shoes are a good
That's
guess.
not right.
Shoes? Yeah, I was going to say shoes.
Glasses.
Yes. Is it
Oh,
glasses?
I'm not even
Is
going
the
to say
answer?
that, Delta. I'm not even going to say that. Jeez. People.
Ooh, that's
I mean, there's
Well,
what, 1, 2, 3, 4. She put hers on and then took them off. So I don't think that's fair.
They don't fit my head right.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
I am one of the 30%. It's yeah.
I feel like it's shoes. It has to be shoes. I feel like, especially with heels and like anything,
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like that's where I'm like, oh, because sometimes your feet swell. I don't know.
And heels are so cute in theory, but gosh, wearing them, no, I'm out. Like I'm totally at that point in my life that heels are just never going to be an option for me ever again.
True story that I probably shouldn't be putting out there on the internet on a recorded call.
It's recorded.
There we go.
For Halloween one year,
Yeah.
my fiance dressed me up, or ex-fiance, my bad, ex-fiance, dressed me up as a woman.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to
That's
shave
why
my
she's
beard.
an ex.
I had to shave my beard. I wore 6-inch bubblegum pink stiletto heels.
No, I would kill myself.
Yeah. And I walked around all day in them. It was a blast. I had a
Yeah.
wig. I had a
But
bra on that was stuffed with socks and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't do the heel thing anymore. Like it's just not in the cards.
They're so pretty to look at.
I know
I
they
feel like
are.
I just
They
buy
make
them
your
and I
legs
just like
look super cute. Yeah.
admire them, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go for my kicks or wedges at max.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I feel
I
the
have a
same.
picture too.
So real quick, just how do we have the viewing set up? So could people see all of us right now who are watching, or is it just the active speaker, or which way is it?
I don't know. It's all new. It's
Well,
all
Okay,
new.
so because Erica, actually, you're the one who mentioned that everyone has to be spotlighted, right, in order to show up
Yeah.
the entire time. Do we know if that's set?
Well, right now I've got it set to gallery view for attendees.
Okay.
And
That
on,
works.
Perfect.
and on YouTube, it's also on gallery view because I'm watching the YouTube right now.
Oh, fantastic.
We should do like Hollywood Squares, like have the people. That's probably a way too old reference.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you've drawn a generational line, and now
Damn it.
there's
I
a
always
fair-
do that. Always. Never
So you
fail.
can see that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think.
It does look exactly like Hollywood Squares.
Yeah. Thank you, Weishan, for the
Uh,
Look, take Velda for the win. Yes.
Wait, so have we resolved what the actual answer to the question of the day was yet, or have we just been silly?
well, we're very close. I've seen something really very close on here. I've seen
Wear it
it
every
twice.
day.
It's been on here twice and it's really very close.
Watch.
Hey, somebody said socks. Have you guys ever seen these really cool socks? I
In
love
the
these
DeLorean trunk. Is that where you're getting
I
the
love
trunk?
these socks. Have you seen these socks?
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Is that John?
That is John Strand socks. Love that.
Not to get too much into like the conversation we're about to have, but there does seem to be a theme where like corporate leaders are now showing up on stuff, and
Yeah.
people just love that. Like
Yeah.
a sticker of
Oh,
someone's
yeah.
face is
Yeah.
apparently great.
Oh, remember that Wild West Hackin Fest where John was like on the horse, that buck and bronco. It was just like his face. That was an awesome sticker. I love that sticker.
So I wanted to make us feel like John Strand was here.
Yes. He's all just judging us from behind you. I can see it.
I
Watching.
feel like I need to set to the side whenever I put
Yeah.
his background up here.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just like, really? Did you just say that, Megan? Really?
On the flip side, if you turn around, your hair would look like this really wicked beard.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I hope that John doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, it's going to be on YouTube. Dang it.
Oh darn. Okay, let me choose a different virtual. I'm really digging this whole Zoom thing just because. Ooh, there's a nice one.
Yeah. I don't
My
have
grandson. What do you think?
So precious.
I feel like he's eating my head every time I put him out.
So they're saying that is contacts the answer? Is it socks that's the answer? Is it?
I'm going to tell you, it was really close, but it hasn't been exact.
okay.
And I don't know if we want to get exact. You guys tell me.
Well,
We got a few more minutes. We can get
shirt,
exact.
a hat, a hairband. How, like, which answer's the closest so we can
Daily
Yeah,
basis.
if I say which answer is the closest,
Oh, then we'll know.
then you'll know.
Then we'll know. I don't know.
I will give you another hint. Your
Necklace.
one is close. Very close.
Headphones.
Headphones.
Very close.
Oh,
All right, guys, I found the picture. So give me 1 second here. I'll make it my
Oh,
background.
boy.
We need to
AirPods.
see this. It needs to
AirPods.
be seen.
AirPods.
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 Ah.
Well, that's that's brand
No,
specific.
Yeah.
I
Right?
have the pros, and I really like mine.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you get the right size little thing, but the old schooler ones, those are different, but the pros, I really love mine.
I have the Fisher that came at $5 from Menards.
Oh, I'm sure that those are really gangster.
These are not real comfortable, guys. Let me tell you.
Oh, but
Yeah, I
they glow.
know. And they probably will damage your ears and are total garbage. So
Yeah,
you
but
need
they
to
work good.
throw them away.
They work good, and if I lose them, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, that's
can you
the
guys see
bottom
that?
line.
That's such. Oh no, we don't see all of it. Oh,
Oh,
look at
man.
those pink stripes and that pink
Right?
heel.
And look at them pink
Oh.
heels too. I told you.
Ooh, and you were saying balance. That's the thing. You say balance while bending
And
over.
I'm shooting pool.
Oh,
Is that what's going on?
We still have a few more minutes, right? I could go get a glass of water really quick.
Yes,
Do you have
please
time?
do.
Okay.
I mean, you might not want to be involved in this at all.
No, I'm definitely leaving intentionally right now.
Yes.
Like, there's
I
a
get
reason.
it. I get it. Get it. Totally get it.
Way to go,
So for
Jason. You
those
made
of
it
you that
weird.
I know. I guess today I'm Megan.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Jace. So for those of you just joining us, this is not the actual content. This is what we call pre-show banter. You show up early because we show up early. We show up early because you show up early. It's this vicious cycle that we all love, and we just do it every single time. And we all think that we're kind of famous for it. I do. I tell my children that I'm famous for it, but they don't believe me. But one day I'm going to be a content creator on TikTok and they'll all just eat their words. That's what I'm going with. So everybody, welcome to our Hackin cast today. We're super excited. And I love that Marrelle, it's Marrelle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love that you're living like kind of off the grid-ish, but you're kind of on the grid, but it's kind of like living off the grid because you're not like, you know, don't have like those house roots and like stuff like that. That just seems cool to me. To be, it's like a gypsy life.
Honestly, when I was younger, I always told my mom, I was like, I'm never going to college. I'm just going to get my yoga cert and I'm just going to like be a hippie and just wander the world. And she was like, that's cute. You're going to college. And I was like, almost got it. So now as an adult, I'm like, I got the degree. I got a job. I can do it now. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm like, you know what? It's time to live that nomadic life. So
that's awesome. Are you coming to San Diego?
Ooh, we're trying to figure it out. The gas prices there.
Woo, yeah. Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
Especially like with the trailer, you could not believe how many times we had to stop for gas, like alone. I'm like, whew. And so everyone was forewarning us at because we've been to a few RV parks now, and they're kind of like, be careful with like the West Coast because those gas prices and the amount of times you stop, you got to be real careful about that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you definitely do. And you can get those apps. There's different kinds of things that like the Nomad. There's a bunch of different apps that will tell you like, and I think there's one called Gas Buddy that'll tell you like where the lowest prices are. And it'll also tell you like which Walmarts like that you can park in like overnight, which is super cool because there's some Walmart parking lots that you can stay for free overnight. They'll allow it. So if you like can't make it all the way to your campground and stuff, it'll save you money. You can just hop back in the trailer and, you know, just for the night, stay there. They're usually really well lit and there's security cameras and stuff. So it's pretty cool. That's an option.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loves gas station. Somebody put in the
Loves. Yes.
Yeah.
We've actually, like I've seen a lot of those, and I think Love's also has shower stations, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Because I've learned trailer water does not, like the showers in trailers, like don't stay hot for too long.
Yeah.
So, and I love excruciatingly hot showers. And so I'm just like halfway through, I'm like, it's freezing cold. And I'm like, oh my gosh, stop.
Yeah.
Just
like maybe I'm not meant to be a nomad. This is ridiculous. Yeah. I have a tankless hot water heater on my house, which went during the blizzard blew up. But anyway, and it's really awesome, but it's also not awesome because kids will stay in the shower for like ever. They will not get out because they have an unlimited supply of hot water. So.
I feel that.
Yeah. But good old campgrounds. I grew up camping and we always used to go to bluegrass festivals as kids and stuff like that. It's a fun, and you meet some of the nicest, most amazing people at campgrounds.
Oh my gosh. So I am a very enthusiastic person. Like I'm pretty sure if I met any of y'all in person, I would like jump in the air and like dash to you and go, hi.
Yeah.
And so like at camp, like in real life, most people are like, you are such a weirdo, like calm down. And ever since I've gone to campgrounds, I wave at people and they wave enthusiastically. I'm like, oh my gosh, hi.
It's like you found your tribe. You found your people.
I was like, I was meant for RVs. They wave back at me with the same amount of enthusiasm. Yes, I found my people.
Yeah. And it's like, it's awesome because if you like don't like somebody, you pull up stakes and leave quickly anyway. So it's all good. It's all good. So
Exactly.
it's funny.
No neighbor issues, no HOA issues.
I know.
This is
right?
sounding better and better.
I know. I'm thinking that we should start like either that. I thought about that or like just the whole commune idea of just like getting a bunch of property and just having people squat all together and like
Megan, oh my gosh, we were meant to meet because I literally, when I told my, like, fun fact, when I told my mom I wasn't going to college and I was going to go to yoga, I was like, I'm going to find a commune too. And she was like, what is wrong with you? Where did you get this information? I was like, Google. Hello. I was like, Mom, a commune, yoga. And I just I'm living my best life. She's like, do you know what a commune is? I'm like, it's a collection of people. Right. I was like, it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be bad. It really, that there are very great communes out there that people don't know about.
Yeah. They want to be kept like off the radar. So you don't hear about them. You only hear about the bad ones. So yeah, exactly. We're
get
here.
me. We see
totally.
We're gonna get everyone because Supriya's already, she's there. We need to give her a little bit, encourage her a little bit more. And then there's 3 of us, and then there's gonna be 4, and then there's gonna be 5.
Velda will come along, which I'm sure I'm dragging her.
I'm sorry. I need space for my children. Like I
Me too.
very much would love to live this life, but I'm going to wait until they're in their 20s and off on their own. But I don't want to, I very much love the tiny house life and that would be awesome. But no, they need, I need a couple of rooms of distance.
You're being generous too by waiting until they're 20.
18. I mean, we've already had these talks. They need to start saving up and find their own place to destroy and buy IKEA furniture or wherever they get furniture, if they have furniture. A foam pit. I mean, whatever.
My oldest turned 18 in November, and I'm like, I think it's about time you get out.
Yeah. It's time to leave the nest.
I don't mean to be contrarian here, but the prospect of a studio apartment that also has a transmission seems like a terrifying responsibility to have to deal with. So, I mean, if to all of you folks who are like #van life for the win, love being nomads, like awesome. But I don't know, I have like an existential crisis thinking of myself trapped in like a studio apartment on wheels for any period of time.
See, I would be fine. I would be fine with my Harley and a tent strapped to the back. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about escalators when they break down their stairs. So use that same mindset for an RV. When it breaks down, it's a house.
Yeah.
You can always walk outside of your studio apartment.
Yeah. There's a whole big world out there.
I mean, if it breaks down, that's just like location roulette. Like, right? You get to live wherever it stops.
Make sure you only travel to places that you could potentially have to be at for the rest of your life. I mean, that's, like Florida or like breakdown in the Keys. They probably wouldn't tow you forever. They wouldn't get around to you.
What's your address? Oh, I'm on the north side of I-80 at mile marker 67.
Yeah. I got this sweet call box that I have to walk to every now and then, calling in.
Don't break down traveling through Nebraska. You won't like it.
Right.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah. Just avoid it at all costs.
Just flat prairie grass everywhere.
Yeah.
But the nicest people you'll ever meet.
That is true. That is very, very true. Well, it looks
I agree.
We are right at the top of the hour. For those of you joining us, thanks so much again for joining us, and thanks for being our first experiment with Zoom. I think it was a little rocky at the start, but we've managed to reel it in a little. We will be, Jake, do you want to talk about the certificate of completion since you know the most about it?
Sure. It's going to look really spammy, the email that comes out. It's from Gutenberg. I promise you it's not spammy. It is the certificate of attendance. That's the best way I can describe it, right?
Right. We are not trying to fish you. It is a legit certificate of completion, and you will get it. Do they come out 24 hours? I don't even know.
They should come out today.
Okay, so about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
It comes from Gutenberg. It will say it's from Black Hills. And then
so check your junk filters.
Yes.
Yeah, it should get delivered. From all the tests that we did, it gets delivered to your inbox, but it looks suspect. So
Now, if you're watching on YouTube only, didn't register for the webinar, you won't get the certificate.
good clarification. Yes.
Correct. All right. Well, I think we'll hand it over to you guys.
Thank you guys for being part of this. We really appreciate it. Look forward to meeting you hopefully soon. I know I'll meet Adam soon.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you all. No, and like always honored to be part of this community, and like thank you, Black Hills and the Wildwest Hackin Fest folks for letting a bunch of folks like us come talk to the community for a while. To kick things off, obviously you all are here with so you want to build a community in InfoSec, and I'm Adam Mashinchi. I'm the director of open source programs at Red Canary. And I'm going to be the moderator for a phenomenal panel of folks who are experts in building communities. And so I'll let them introduce themselves. How about we go alphabetically just to make it easier enough, and we'll kind of see where the conversation takes us.
Last name or first name?
First name.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Peterson, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at a startup called the Vertex Project. And my background isn't in InfoSec. I have experience as a startup founder and entrepreneur, and I have stories of starting communities back in second grade. Always happy to share those, and back to the days where I would charge also 25 cents for you to sit at my Hello Kitty lunch table. So building community in various different facets, also different types of communities, technical, non-technical as well. So lots of great stories and also insights to share with you all today. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Oh, did I freeze out? Am I good? Awesome. Great. My name is Marrelle Bailey. I am the community manager here at Red Canary. Our company works on cybersecurity, which is super exciting. So I kind of like Erica, I don't come from cybersecurity or InfoSec world, but the cool part about it is it was really funny. I was out one day, a year or two ago, and I had all my friends sit me down, you were literally meant to be a community manager. And I was like, why? And they're like, you can find anyone at a bar and make them your friend by the end of the night and kumbaya with everyone. And I was like, yes. But just like Erica and Supriya, it's really awesome to be able to be a community manager and bring people together. That's literally all I believe in doing, is just making sure everyone feels loved, heard, and valued, and doing work with diversity, equity, and inclusion, making sure that people have entry points and are able to do what the things that they want to do and be a part of. So a lot of my focus is in that. And and so when it comes to what I do for Red Canary, I work with the Atomic Red team and help foster and nurture that community. And because they do amazing things, and are they some smart people. So it's a real privilege. And I'm really appreciative to be here and to share some of my input and thoughts.
Yeah, Adam said experts, so I would like to strongly disagree with that. My name is Supriya Mazumdar. I am the community manager at Grey Noise, and I've been doing that for about a year. But my background is actually in InfoSec. So I worked in threat detection for a little bit, and then I was part of the reported feature InSec team for the last couple of years before I found my way to Grey Noise. So jack of all trades, master of none. That's kind of how I feel, jumping around a bit. But it's been an incredible experience to get all of this training and different aspects and roles and kind of wear them for a little bit and then move on to something else. But I have just a ton of sympathy and empathy for people that actually deal and are defenders or red teamers or anything in between. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Perfect. And so to kind of kick off an initial question, I think Supriya, you've keyed one up perfectly. And I want you to go, if you don't mind, just a little deeper on, you obviously you kind of come from this background already, and now you're doing something maybe a little different than you were before over at Gray Noise. Can you give us some more insight into like what brought you into this InfoSec and really threat intelligence? I guess all the organizations you all represent is really threat intel as well. Can you give us a little more insight into how you got into that?
Yeah. So my journey into cybersecurity was something that started pretty early. So when I was in school, I was an international affairs major. I thought I was going to go into policy. I live in Washington. That was like kind of the path for me. After my first internship, which was a disaster, I realized quickly that I needed to develop some hard skills, look somewhere else, figure out what was like a good intersection of like my curiosity and passions, but then also like doing something meaningful, right? Not just sitting and pontificating. So I got an internship with a company called Mesos Group. And that like cemented my like passion for cybersecurity. Every role after that was at a cyber company. And I just realized like being able to be part of like a threat intelligence company. I did do a little stint as a defender, and that sucked because it's really, really hard. And seriously, like just being in that role or like a consumer of threat intel really helped me understand that like when you put out threat intel or like when you work at a company that does this, you need to be really mindful about what you're telling people, because obviously they have to act on it, they have to make decisions, etc. So yeah, this is a really long-winded way of saying that like I've kind of like found my path, which is like working with people that are consumers of data, of security products, and helping them not only become power users of a product, but also be able to take that information back and like build a better product because of that. And I think that's such an essential role of being a community manager. It's really like kind of being a liaison. So yeah, I've worked at a lot of security companies and like vendors. And I think like being able to not have it so like one-sided, but also be able to like take what the community is saying and like feed that in just makes better companies and better products.
That's awesome. And then I want to jump over to Erica. I mean, you obviously said that you come from like a place of being a founder. What brought you into InfoSec Threat Intel? Like, tell us a little bit about your road here.
It's a long road, a winding long road. Well, I started working with the Vertex project initially in fall. What year are we in? In fall 2020. Initially to just helping out with their messaging and learning more about their community to better improve their web presence and website. So that's how I started working with the Vertex project, and then I started full time with them in April. So kind of fell in love with the team there, and obviously the product, and can see its various applications beyond. I can see it, obviously, everyone's background is in threat intelligence, but I could also see its applications beyond threat intelligence. So really became passionate about the subject matter and, the work that they do, and wanted to help in better communicating that via website, social media, video, educational content, obviously community. So that's how I've become involved with growing their online community. So yeah, that's the short answer.
No, I love it. Long answers to short questions is exactly what a panel's here to do. And so Marrelle, same question to you. What brings you to InfoSec and Threat Intel?
Yeah, it's crazy, things move in such different ways, but this is my first role within cybersecurity, and it's amazing. Before this, I worked with basically owning data and data control, and so that was really cool because I learned so much about privacy and how much is affected by our consent, and that was really awesome. And it was cool because as a young adult, I was trying to figure where my niche was, where like what the things is that I like to do, and learning about privacy and consent and giving people the opportunity to control their data was really interesting to me, because that also does kind of apply to cybersecurity. And so getting this opportunity, I've gotten really passionate, because also I've learned such a deep, deep, deep respect for people in InfoSec and cybersecurity, because it is so, so intricate. There's so many levels, there's so many things about it, and it deserves to be supported and encouraged and appreciated and acknowledged, and inviting more people to this space, because there's so many avenues and paths that you can go that it's like never ending. And it's like a privilege to be a part of nurturing that and supporting that and giving it the space that it needs.
Awesome. Well, and Marrelle, I want to follow up with, given that you come from the data protection and privacy space, what's one of the big differences or challenges that you've found between building that kind of community versus building, say, an InfoSec community? And what's the delta that you might have off the top of your head between those kinds of things?
To be honest, as crazy as might sound, there are obviously there's differences between them, but I really don't see a difference. I feel like typically it's niche. It's a niche group of people, and those niche groups of people range wide. And honestly, I feel like it was almost like a really easier, as once I understood the concepts and understood the kind of like the vocabulary that we use, it was a really easy transition, and I think that because ultimately it's things that are close to our heart. Cybersecurity protects people from having breaches or managing, what data is getting sent out, or, ransomware. Like those things are really, sensitive topics. And even when it comes to like consent of data, like the GDPR, like that's another thing that, you don't get to collect my cookies, without my permission. And it's just that same thing. It's just a different way. And it's super important, which not real cookies. Hopefully nobody thought I was talking about real cookies, but because I just literally said, you don't get to keep cookies. But I feel like it was actually a very smooth transition. And I feel like it all kind of goes in the same space. And you also get like just unique and different people in these spaces. Like you get people from wide ranges, and the same thing with cybersecurity. Like you're getting people from different knowledge levels and different like backgrounds and just different spaces. And it's really awesome. And I think I get a little bit of a cheat because they're both open sourced. So I think when it's open source, you're getting people that are volunteering and just they like have the enthusiasm to be in this space. Sorry for elaborating too.
No, you're good. You all stop apologizing for answering questions. It's literally what you're here to do. So you brought up something interesting about this idea of, these are InfoSec communities, but they also, to a certain degree, are developer communities. And I think that's true for all of you to a certain extent. And Supriya, I see you nodding your head. Like, do you have any thoughts on maybe the community that you're involved in versus other ones you might have experienced?
Yeah, definitely. So like background on Grey Noise, and I just totally skipped over this with your last question, but Grey Noise is we're essentially like a data company, and you can consume us in two ways. You can use our API or you can use our UI. And so our community encompasses all of these users, including those who used us in authenticated and an unauthenticated fashion. So our community is huge. And I don't always know everyone in that, which is kind of scary and exciting, right? That there are people using our product that like are just a generic, API key that, I'll never know, but hopefully I will. But kind of like to Marrelle's point, like breaking down what that community looks like has been a very interesting challenge that I've dealt with this year. And we're not quite a developer community, and like that might be something different from Red Canary. We're not dealing with people on GitHub reporting issues and like kind of navigating like that aspect. It's a lot more closed in the sense that you might be in our community Slack, you might tweet at us on Twitter, you might DM myself or anyone else that works at Grey Noise, but we don't have that like people get to know each other yet. And that's something I'm so excited to like try and push for and like work towards and develop and build. But I think the way that we handle those communities internally also looks really different. Like the tools that I use are obviously not the tools that, Marrelle or Erica uses. They're, unique to my community. Yeah, does that kind of answers the question? I'd love to hear Erica's thoughts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Erica, you're up.
So this has been a very different type of community to manage. I've managed communities in the music industry as a mom and with my past startup, technical and non-technical or aspiring to be technical communities. But this in particular, it's been unique in the sense that people show up differently online. And I think Supriya is touching on that as well, that, you know, not everybody in your Slack community is able to, maybe also not willing to, you know, use a real profile picture or even use a real first name. So you might not know really who you're speaking to. But I think that in all the other communities, people are, you know, more likely, always showing up as themselves, posting photos and putting, you know, their actual names and stuff. But also we're connecting on maybe a shared interest or shared experience, maybe as a woman or woman in tech. And then here you have, this is a, you know, very much a professional community, and you know, there has to be privacy as well as you know, you have to act in a professional manner, and you know, so it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more. What's the word? It's people might not be as open in the shared channels, but I think that's what, that's a challenge in managing the community, to create those spaces where they can be more open and vocal, whether it's via the chat or in spaces like this via webinars where they can ask questions. And also, I think that makes it even more important for us to show up as ourselves. And you know, when I speak to people, I have my photo, my name, you know where to find me. I'm being super transparent to hopefully give other people, to model that for them, but also to encourage them to also share, because I'm also sharing, you know, different experiences of, you know, my experience learning about our product. Like I said, my background's not in cybersecurity and InfoSec, and when I'm learning something, I'm learning something alongside the community members, and many times they're teaching me. So it requires some vulnerability on my part and some humility to, you know, to say, I don't know this, can you show me? And they've been excellent at sharing resources, papers, podcasts, all these different resources as well to welcome me. So hopefully, you know, I think it works both ways. But so it definitely takes a little bit some time to warm up for people to warm up to you, I think. And that would be a main difference for me.
I'll even add to that, like, Erica, I'm sure you've experienced this too, but like where your community like manager or like community role sits in your company matters significantly. So like I, for example, report to product, and like my role is really strictly product influenced. And so I get to like say, I'm like, well, I'm not sales, I'm not marketing, I'm not going to sell you anything. Like if you want to do that, you got to talk to like, you know, another person. And so that's like a way for me to build trust with my like free community. That way they like, if I'm trying to talk to them, it's not a sales pitch. Like either I need something from them, they're abusing our API, or like I want to give them a t-shirt or something, like whatever. But for the times that, you know, again, like Erica, maybe even Marrelle, like if you have to do something or like you need something from them, or it's a sales, you know, type of experience, like there's a lot of resistance to that in cybersecurity. And I deeply empathize with that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, the more vulnerable you are, exactly like you said, like you're just like, hey, like I'm on a level with you, like this is what I need, this is what we're doing, like this is a great product, like let it speak for itself. So yeah, I think that's a challenge, like walking the line and like building that trust, like having that open line of communication and being like open to someone maybe not being open to that. It's hard.
Oh, I've definitely like felt that, and you know, and I'm apologize not on behalf of like the people who call you at 5 p.m. on a Friday or harass you on LinkedIn, because that's not something I would ever do. But I do, you know, feel people in this community have had a really bad experience with you know, vendors or marketing. I totally get it. But I've been very cautious and wary about how we engage with our community. And then also, you know, it's 2022, you don't engage in those practices. I don't, you know, I think that a lot of it is just disrespectful or rude on a lot of like person to person. So obviously I understand that hesitance. But like I said, I think that it's been really important for me to show up as myself, and because at the end of the day, it's another person at the end of the other side, on the other side. But I'm also very frank about, you know, our practices and, you know, the way that, you know, we operate. There's no, I'm not making a commission off of a sale. I'm, you know, here to help you if you've come here for a reason, and I want to share information with you. And if it's a good fit, cool. If not, maybe we'll talk later, but how are your kids? And, you know, what's your Fortnite handle? And, you know, like, we move on. I think that we've done a good job over the last, you know, year or so to really build relationships with people inside the community. So hopefully, you know, people feel that same way about me, because I will literally think about like a book or a podcast and think so-and-so is really going to love this, and I'll send it to them. Like, there's some poetry nerds in our community, and if you are in our Synapse Slack, I wrote a poem about like our product, and it's like the cheesiest like thing, but I know that the other poetry nerds in the community like love it too. So I think you just have to find other ways to connect with people beyond the product as well, on a more personal level, but also, you know, interest, because at the end of the day, we're all people.
Awesome. So there's some good questions from the audience we're going to get to in a bit, but before we do that, you know, it's clear that you all, though you all ostensibly work on community management, like have wildly different roles and you're in different places in the organization. And Marrelle, could you tell us a little bit about the way, given that community manager as a thing is kind of newly emerged? I mean, it's been around for a while, but especially in InfoSec, like this role has been formalized, and those job descriptions that are all run the gamut of everything. Can you talk to us a little bit about, like, in your experience, what community manager means in this context and the way that you think about it, given that it's kind of newly formalized in this space a little bit?
Yeah, so I feel like for me, like, community means so much. Like you were saying, Erica, I've been a part of a lot of different communities, even outside of the tech space. And just building my own, just out of pure meeting random people, I feel like they should connect and like making those connections. But I feel like I lost the question in my head, and I need you to repeat it.
No, just
do you mind re-saying it, Adam?
Yeah, that's fine. It was just community manager as a role, and how that's kind of a newly formalized thing. Like, what are the difficulties or challenges around that, again, given that it could be kind of a loaded term, right?
I feel like it can be tough, because I mean, literally Erica, Supriya, and I are perfect examples of how community looks completely different, how we do completely different things. I mean, we're connecting with people. That is one thing that we are synonymously doing. We're making sure that they feel heard. We're making sure that they get the support and the resources and the help that they need. And they know that we're coming with this from our hearts. Just like Supriya and Erica said, I literally, each time I join a new community, I'm like, I just need to show you my heart. That's all I need to do. And once you see my heart, you'll see that. But when it comes to being a community manager, I think it's so much you can do. And I think that there's so much, it's because what does community mean? Are you talking about the community of your company? Are you talking about the community of open source? Are you talking about the community of people who are interested in your product? Are you talking about the community of clients that you have? Are you talking about, like, community, like you said, can be so thin. And I think the thing is instead of, ironically, we were talking about this at Red Canary yesterday, of like abstracts versus concrete, and making sure that we're a lot more concrete of like what type of community manager we're looking for, or what type of community manager we need you to be, and making sure that you're clear in that. Because, like, for instance, when I know, Adam, when you were looking for someone to fit my role, it was like open, like, I need you to understand open source. I need you to understand how to build these connections. And I think that it gets tough because community can look so different for each person, but it's about being concrete and really understanding what type of community manager or community support that you actually need for you and your company or for you and your community. So that's what I got for right now.
That's perfect. So to hit a few of the audience questions, kind of to bundle them together. You know, there's a lot of folks who want to build communities and maybe they don't have a product, or maybe there's no seed community, or they're kind of starting from zero, or maybe they want to build a community that's not part of a company, right? You all, again, I'm going to say the word experts again, regardless of Supriya's objection. You all, as folks who do this, if you had to give someone, you know, one or two pieces of advice, if they're starting from nothing, what would you say you should do? What's something they should think about? What's a tool they might want to use? And I'll leave it open. Whoever, first come, first serve. Whichever wants to come off mute first.
I won't say, I don't know about tools, but like there are certain people, and I saw a few names of folks that I've spoken to. I actually tried really hard to start a community manager community. And I ended up talking to a few other community managers at a few other companies. And that like totally blew up because frankly, I didn't put in the work. Like managing a community is a lot of work. And you have to be able to like reach out like really actively and like foster it, right? It's not just good enough to like meet with someone once, like you have to like continue the relationship and like make sure that they're just as invested in it as you are. I mean, you should be the most invested in it, but like, you know, you need buy-in from other people to have a community. And it's really easy when it's like around a product or like a thing or a shared interest, right? It's really hard when it's just like maybe like something less like sticky, if that makes sense. But I mean, there are so many successful communities out there. Like I'm thinking about Women's Society of Cyberjutsu that's run by a team of really fantastic women in InfoSec. You know, Grace Hopper, Anita, like these are all like communities that are driven by women and like BIPOC people that like really care about the issues and like have put in the time and work. That's the other aspect, right? It's time. So yeah, I think it's just the willingness to put in that. I haven't really found a good tool yet. I've been working with Orbit a little bit, and I would love to hear anyone's thoughts on that. I'm still polling the community on this tool, but so far it's been really great for my usage, but I'll let others chime in on kind of what they think about building community outside of.
Yeah, actually, Supriya, you know, you approached me, and if you need help, I will help you. I would love to help do a community for community managers. I think it's super important. And I did want to touch on, I actually wrote a blog recently with the help of Supriya, which was super awesome, about how to be a community manager, some help about that. And I can share the link for that. Because I think it's super important that people do understand that is someone who is new to community or new to becoming like new to a role in community or new to being a community manager. It's good to hear from different advice from different community managers, because Supriya said some great stuff about like jargon and like understanding language and how do you just talk to people generally and understand the terms and the concepts. So it was really great hearing from her. And I had another person on, Magda, and she comes from a totally different space of community, which I thought was amazing. And I come from a different. And so when it comes to tools, oh my gosh, I come from a communications, advertising, and PR background. That's what I got my degree in. And so I feel like I've gotten a lot of tools, and I have a whole bunch of them, and I'm not going to force y'all to hear every single one of them, but I did want to share that HubSpot blogs. They actually have a really great blog about what a community manager is, things to look out for, and some really great tools. And also there's a really great company that I've worked with before called Ink House. And they have some really amazing blogs on how to foster community, and they've like current tools that are great for certain communities. But everything else, I'm going to post it in the Zoom chat and on Discord. But that's.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Go ahead, Erica.
I didn't know there was like a lag. One of the things that I always like share with people who are just starting out communities, I'm also going to use this answer to answer the question that's going on right now in the the discussion happening in Discord. I think that people need to be met where they are. So I think a lot of time when people are starting out communities, they'll look for all of these different ways to communicate with people, or, you know, go on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, like to just get the word out there. But really you have to just pick one and meet people where they are and where they're already communicating. And then you have to think of what's an incentive for them to join and communicate. And you have to communicate to them. People don't know. If you see something, like if you see words of, you know, oh, I'm interested in this topic, it's just not enough. There has to, especially because people are there's so much competition for our attention, especially today and especially online. But honestly, one of the biggest like things that I bugs me a little bit about sometimes is that like when I talk to people starting communities, I'll ask like, well, did you make flyers? Did you email everyone? Did you create an event on LinkedIn and invite everyone? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then did you DM them and and then text a friend to send the link? Like, it's a lot of work. I have hosted many events, like real life events, where I've had 1 or 2 people show up and it's been pathetic. But then the next time 50 people showed up. But it's every time, whether it's been through, I've also, through my past nonprofit work in many different spaces as well, like you have to boots to the ground, print flyers, like get out there and put yourself out there. And you have to tell people why you want this community to exist and why they should be a part of it. And it's work. And then keeping that momentum going is also important. It's reinforcing that, modeling that for your community and showing up for them just as you want them to show up for you, or else, why are you there?
Yeah. And can I? Okay, cool. And that's the kind of buy-in, right? Like the ideal community is one that can stand on its own 2 feet. Like it doesn't need a person to like foster it and like keep it going, right? Like that's probably like my ideal state where like a community thrives, like regardless if I'm working or not working, like it can stand on its own. But when you're in that early stage of building a community, like you need to have the most buy-in, like you need to show up like 110% at the time, like answer emails, like Erica said, like, and I failed because I, 1, didn't do this, but then 2, I realized like I couldn't handle this right now. Like I couldn't put in the work needed to start a community outside of like a professional organization where like the buy-in is that you are also a community manager at your 9 to 5 and like you care enough about like your professional growth that you'd want to like do this. And like maybe there are those people, and I found a couple of them, but creating like a larger group than that seriously takes an insane amount of legwork. And if you are not willing or it's not the right time, like it's not going to succeed. So yeah, community building is hard. I think community building within an organization is marginally easier because you just have something like to talk about like around a product or a thing.
And Supriya, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question on that one. So to kind of pivot towards the idea of like a corporate community or like a product community or what have you, what is a piece of advice you would give to an organization that is thinking about building out that kind of corporate community, if you will, kind of, obviously what you all do for a living, but what would be like maybe 1 or 2, a handful of pieces of advice you'd say like, hey, if you're looking to launch a community, think about these things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if this is so much advice as much as like an observation, but like I've seen really bad communities where people just think that by like the existence of users, that is a community. And I think like doing a little bit more legwork to understand who your user base is, like what they want, and like how to harness them, I guess. That's not really an advice. It's just like things that you need to do to have a successful community. But I think what I will say is like on the other side of that, like a bad community to me looks like useless conversation and like maybe more generic like questions like out in the open, but you're not doing the legwork to get to know your users. You're not introducing your users to each other. Like you're not really caring about like the individual connections so much as just like, hey, you paid for this. Like, what's your favorite sandwich? It's Tuesday. Like that's not building community, right? Like you're being noisy in a Slack. That's really different. So yeah, I think it's understanding that like community is work. The payoff is huge because then you get people to buy into your product or your message or whatever you're saying, and you get champions. That's essentially, or influencers, you can call them whatever you want, but like these are the people that really care about the product or the thing that they're using. And if you don't listen to them and do like have meaningful conversations, then you're wasting a community.
Awesome. So Marrelle, I'm going to ask the same question to you. Like, what's one piece of advice or a few pieces of advice you'd like that you'd give to an organization looking to build out a community, team, department, online community, what have you?
Yeah, honestly, it was really cool. My last role that I had at my previous company, I basically went from being in like operations to literally creating a role where I like created like the space for community from the organization. And it's kind of like you were saying, Supriya, was a lot of people that were really excited about some really amazing things that were happening. I mean, the ideas that they had are like phenomenal, and the people that were in this space were phenomenal and still are phenomenal. And so it was really cool because I was like, kind of like you were saying, Adam, like starting from like nothing, or starting from like this like abstract thing to like creating this like community space and like creating a social environment. And to be honest, it's like it's a lot easier when the community already exists. It's tough. I know Sheki from Discord is asking about like, you know, how do I grow something from like kind of like almost like a smaller number? And I think the thing about that is like, this might sound kind of crazy, but like outreach, like going to different spaces, just like Erica said, that you know people already at, and like just personally one-on-one talking to them, because they can always network you with someone else. Because I know when I first started trying to make the community or be a part of the community that I was in and my last role was like, literally I would talk to one person and they would redirect me to like 5 or 6 other people. And now I'm having one-to-ones with like 5 more people. They're like, and you just keep branching out. And then you find more people that have the interest and have the thrive to be in that conversation and have equity in it. And I think like my advice is like, you just got to do one-on-ones when you start. It's just something like building those networks and like making genuine connections, and it literally starts growing. And I think having patience, because I think I talked about it with Supriya one day, of like the growth of a community can be very exponential. Like it starts real small and then out of nowhere it just gets a boom and everything comes around, and it's so amazing to experience.
Awesome. So Erica, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. After you. I'll ask you a question in a bit.
Okay. I was going to say that, and I mentioned this earlier in the Discord, is that something that I think people need to understand when they're starting a corporate community rather than a, interest outside of work community, is that you have to be clear on what your business case is. What is the point of having a community? I think community is hot right now, and a lot of, and as we've seen with the emergence of the community manager role. But I think that understanding what is the ultimate business purpose, how does that, directly affect the organization long term, right? Or is this something that is valued by the company? Is this something that if you were interested in being a community manager, right, that's something also to think about. Is this something that's valued? Are there resources being put towards this so that you can be effective at your job because this provides leads to the company? Is it something that is a function of marketing to support sales? Is the goal of the community to provide education to support customer success, or to educate your new users? So the understanding where it lies in the organization org structure of the company. And at the end of the day, what are having solid metrics? What does success look like? I think we get caught up really easily on having these really amazing, oh, our community has 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 users, but what does that really mean if there's no engagement? There's no one referring anybody. Those are basic metrics for communities. Are people joining and engaging? Are they also referring people? And then, right, also, are they creating content? Are they sharing what they're doing? That's one of the hardest things to do, is getting people to share what they're working on and their ideas. So I think that understanding its business use case within the company is first and foremost before you start one.
So Eric, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question then. If we're thinking about community in a corporate environment, obviously, like, how, as a community manager, like, do you know if you're doing a good job or not? Can you talk a little bit about, sorry to say, like, KPIs and like OKRs? Can you give us some insight into the kinds of metrics that you use to know that things are going well? Yeah.
So as I just mentioned, I particularly look at, are people joining? Is that a message? So the messaging, when I invite somebody to join, is there is there a conversion there, marketing speak? Am I communicating clearly enough to people? What is the incentive for them to join? If I'm not doing that, there's a problem. Full stop. And then once they're in the community, I'm looking at, are they joining different channels? Are they engaging? Have they introduced themselves? Are they ever online? And then beyond that, I'm looking at, are they engaging with other people? So sometimes there's a lot, especially in this sector, there might not be public conversations happening, but there might be a lot of DMing going on and people talking amongst themselves. That's great. You don't always have to be a part of the conversation. You can nudge and encourage conversation. So I'm also looking at, are people commenting, liking, people are busy. So it's, you're not expecting threads and posts all the time. But that's something that's really important. Are people engaging? Number one is first and foremost, no matter what you're using. And we're talking on Discord. So, right, obviously there's great community engagement there. You all showed up here in the middle of the day to engage with each other and in this community. So obviously there's, a great value proposition here. And then when you join again the next time, it means you really had a good time talking and watching the Hackin cast. So this is a great example of, a healthy community.
Perfect. So the question, and I'll leave it at first come, first serve, whichever you want to, put your hand up first. Obviously you all do and see this world in different ways, and you all do totally different stuff day to day. To that end, do you have any, what are some common misconceptions you all have seen by way of community managers? Like, what do people believe that to be and may not be, just from each of your perspectives? Nobody's volunteering. So Marrelle, after you're going first then. Yeah.
I actually was starting sorry, it's unfortunately everyone is frozen. Like Adam, Supriya, Erica, you're all frozen. So I don't know if people are raising their hands. I'm waiting.
We can see you though. You're good.
Okay, awesome. So I think I am obsessed, being a woman of color, I am obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it's super important. And I think that the tech space, sometimes the numbers aren't as optimal as we'd want, but it's interesting being non-technical and being a woman of color. It can be a very interesting space. But I think that one thing I want to teach people, and I actually have been wanting to speak to local high schools and middle schools about anyone can be and this, I don't know if anyone's ever watched Zootopia, and this is such a lame thing, but anyone can be anything. And it's so true. Like anyone could be a community manager. Your background has nothing, like as long as you want to connect people, you want to build people together, that's what matters. And I know that it can be tough though, because sometimes being non-technical, it's hard for people to believe that like, oh, like I can help this community. But we can all learn. That's a huge thing. But it can be tough. It can be tough when you come into a community where everyone has this awesome expertise on something and you're coming in from like a background that's not necessarily aligned with that. And how do you build the trust with that? And, sometimes having people who don't want to hear you, don't want to see you, thrive in this space. And it's really tough. And, I think we can all be a little transparent that sometimes, tech space can get a little dark, but, it's kind of about like continuing to see your light and letting it shine in that space. So went a little bit on a tangent, but hopefully that answers the question.
No worries. Erica or Supriya, any other thoughts on like common misconceptions you think you bump into in the community manager role or world?
I'm on the flip side of that, actually. So my experience and my background is like, more in line with those that are our users. Like I come from a threat intel and threat detection background. So I've often had, like, we were chatting about this like before, like the marketing girl or like the community girl, like first of all, gendering the role, BS. Second of all, like, no, like I'm a human being doing my like daily job. Like, I'm here to talk to you. But I think what I really try to get at is like, I don't think a community manager has to be like a perfectly technical role or a non-technical role. It can be whatever that person wants it to be. For me personally, that means that I'm growing not only like my interpersonal skills, my like that sort of like things, but I'm still working on like my threat intel chops. Like I still do research with our research team. I still help publish. Like those were things that were really important to me. Like when assuming the role at Gray Noise is just still being able to keep up, still being able to do research and support like where they needed it. So I think I've said this before, a community manager is a unicorn role. You really get like really special people that can like be a Swiss Army knife and kind of like do what you need them to do. So yeah, I think bucketing community managers and like, again, like community manager is kind of a blanket term too. Like this really helps describe that unicorn role. Like all three of us, well, Erica, of course, is a director, but like for Marrelle and I, like we're both community managers, but our jobs look completely different to someone. So I saw this on Twitter recently that was like kill the community manager like title and like make it something else, like community ops or something else. I don't know. I totally don't have an answer to this, but yeah, I think it gets at the misconception that like this is just some sort of like really general like clerical role. Oh, we lost Marrelle. Oh no. But yeah.
Marrelle will be right back, just trying to fix the connection bit. But okay, Erica, to you.
I think this goes back to knowing the business use case for your community and when does it not, I can't think of a better word right now, but justify having a full-time community manager and having an understanding of what that first having that business use case down, and then that way you can write that job description and understand, what that person's role is. I also think that community management can be a part of anybody's position within the company. I think that there's a lot of room for, I don't see it as much in lately in this community. Again, I'm coming from, varied background, but I think a lot about developer advocates. And I've said, internally to our team that we need to act as analyst advocates, and that, there's this misconception that people who do this have to fit a certain criteria or be, a certain way. So I think, anybody can manage the community anybody, but and be a part of another role. You can be you can be a manager and create community amongst, your team, and then your team, can provide that kind of advocacy or understanding about your product, or whether it's open source or a commercial product, to your customers or users. I think there needs to be a clear buy-in from everyone on what the roles are. And it's not this, I think the misconception there is that it's a squishy thing that you do sometimes instead of planning, with strategy and with KPIs. I think that's what I'm trying to get at and alluding to, is that I think maybe sometimes people think it's this thing you do off the cuff or to the side, when it should very much be something you dedicate time to if you want it to, if you find the business use case for it. But does it need to be one single person's full-time role? Depends, I think, on what you're doing and the business use case.
If I can add to that, Erica, I would, oh my gosh, totally agree. I think it's, the thing about it is community. Like, so at my last role, like one thing that they thought of is like a community manager is one thing, and then a developer advocate is another, but we work simultaneously together, because it's kind of like that space of like, I can't always answer super technical questions. If I don't have that answer, it was almost like it's this thing that where I would kind of help like a developer advocate, like they'd almost be like someone underneath me, where it's like, hey, like I manage the community, I check everything, I do the data, I figure all the things that we need to do out, whether it's surveys or it's figuring out how we do outreach, or it's being at an event and structuring that, and then also figuring out, okay, now we have this information that we need to help our community with. And that's where that developer advocate comes into play. And I think it's like you said, Supriya, it's not all like a bucket of like, you just pour it all into this one space. I do definitely agree that it's very specific. And I think that as a community manager, like I will say one thing that I think is really interesting is like, as a community manager, like I've been in a space where I've been the designer, I've been the content creator, I've been the editor, I've been everything in one. And it's like, it kind of is like you have all these other things that make you a community manager. And I think sometimes it gets underappreciated in certain areas. I feel very appreciated here at Hackin area, which is really awesome. But it can be really tough because sometimes people really don't know all the things community managers do. And I know, Erica, you were talking about how like, we were, making graphic designs on the fly and like doing all this stuff and like putting it out and like doing flyers, doing infographics. And, sometimes I will say like you said, Erica and Supriya, you both said, and like kind of implied of that whole like, community managers, like, they just do this little thing and it's cool. They just talk to people all day, but people don't realize how much work actually goes into it, and how sometimes you don't. And when I was doing my blog and interviewing Magda, it was kind of like the space of like, people don't always recognize that, and people don't see, they just see you talking to people and that's about it. And it's like, there's so much more that we do in a day that people don't see. And it takes a lot of, especially if you're an introvert, it takes a lot of energy out of you. Did I say extrovert or introvert? If you're an introvert and you're a community manager, that could take a lot of energy out of you, and you've got to acknowledge that. And luckily I'm an extrovert, but still I get tired sometimes, and you just want a space to quiet down. So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of energy.
I will say that and spot on. It takes a village, right? How cliche, but honestly, like the buy-in, like Erica said, like when your company's at the stage that they need a dedicated community person, there's still like buy-in, right, from the rest of your team and like from the rest of your coworkers. And like, it's really difficult to be successful without the support from internally. And so when you have that buy-in and you've got that team like rallying around you, like you're just going to be that much more successful within your own community. So just like endless gratitude to the team at Grey Noise. I think they're watching, so thank you. I love you.
Awesome. Well, I'm keeping my eye on the clock here, and so I have a one question more for all of you, but it's a two-parter. So what is the most rewarding part of your job, and also what is the most challenging? So if you could answer both of those as we kind of round things out here, that'd be great. And we'll go ahead, Supriya, you go ahead and start us off.
The most challenging part of my role is probably automating it. that's where I'm at right now, where, like we've I think really clearly identified how interpersonal community building is and how much it relies on you as a person and your skills and your ability to multitask and manage people and manage relationships. That's obviously not scalable. So I'm at a point where like our community's grown, woe is me, like how tragic, right? Like our community is doing really well and is healthy, but I can't keep answering DMs at like all hours of the day, right? So figuring out like what the next step is, like how to grow a community. And there's some really cool organizations, HashiCorp, Slack. Splunk like has a fairly like built out community program. So I'm learning. It's a work in progress, but I would say that's definitely the challenging part. The best part of the community, also probably the DMs at like 5 a.m. or 2 a.m., like whatever. Like I like love to hate it, but at the same time, it feels so good to feel like people can reach out to you and that they feel comfortable enough to participate or engage or ask questions or contribute. That's like the biggest reward, like for a community manager, is like someone else posted something and like wanted to engage, and you're like, yes, like awesome, like they feel comfortable enough to do that. Yeah, so it's really rewarding. And to me, like it's not quite a concrete metric, but it's like a non-tangible KPI of how I measure community health.
Perfect. Erica, same to you. Challenging, rewarding.
Challenging, I think, sometimes is not being able to have an answer immediately for the more technical stuff, and then having to, I've gotten better at triaging and recognizing what questions to expect at certain times in someone's user journey. So I've gotten better at having different resources available. And then over the year, we've just, in response to those, it's also, the challenging, but also great part is that because of those questions, we've been able to develop all these different resources, videos, et cetera, to answer those questions. But that mainly, was driven by, wait, I don't know, let me find out. So I think that's been a challenge. I'm so ADHD, and so I love communicating. If I get to sleep by like 2 a.m., that's crazy. So I'm cool with like the different hours of the day, because I think my schedule is always off, but also it provides a good mental break, distraction, to like be able to see someone's message and answer it. So it works for me, but I totally get it, Supriya. Best part is baby photos for sure. We have had so many babies born in our community in the last year, and it's adorbs, and always welcome those photos. I think when people have this aha moment as to like what we're doing, and maybe they've heard that like there's something's hard, or they're not like, come with this preconceived notion of like, there's going to be difficulty in understanding a concept, or, what is it that we do? And then, it clicks for them. Like you can, like, there's so many GIFs and emojis and like exclamation points when that moment happens. And I think that's so cool, because it's taken a lot of work to like, for me as non-InfoSec, non-cybersec person, to build that vocabulary and also communicate clearer. So for me, that's a personal win when like I'm having those conversations and it clicks for someone, or I'm able to provide that information to someone. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm communicating clearly, we're on the same page, and like this is a personal win for them too. So I think that's awesome. But yeah, baby pics as well.
Perfect. And Marrelle, rewarding, challenging to round us out.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like it's, I'll start with the challenge first. For me, it's like, I want to be able to give my community as much knowledge as possible. And so for me, I feel like it's like a never ending pipeline of information. And I'm like, I just need to know more. I need to know more. I need to get more information. I need to know more resources so I can like give it to them and make it super easy. And I feel like for me, those challenging moments are having to tell someone like, I don't know this answer. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't like, and having to take that time to like not know it. I feel like I love like knowing things, being able to go off like a tangent, like, oh, here's a place, here's a place, here's a place. So that's a little challenging because I also just don't read that fast. So, you know, I can only read so many books in a day. So more like in a few weeks or months. But you know, that seems to sometimes be challenging, or just like making sure that I like build a genuine connection and trust with my community. Not to say that it's actually really challenging, but it can be, depending on like what your community has experienced with like previous like connections with your organization. If they've like in the past, if your organization has had broken trust with that community, it can be a challenge to rebuild that trust with that community and make sure they know that you have genuine intentions with your space. But in the same breath, I feel like for me, the reward is like meeting amazing people. Like I feel like the communities I've been in, I've never met such beautiful souls in my life. And I think that that's amazing. And also what's really rewarding is like to be like, honestly, so like Atomic Red Team, every person that does a first contribution on our GitHub repo, they get a t-shirt. And I actually love when people reach out to me like, I got a t-shirt. I did my first contribution. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Like, let's keep going. Like, let's do another contribution. Keep going. I love hearing that. I love seeing when they post pictures of them getting their shirts, and like that excitement, like, is like everything I live for. And being able to talk to people and seeing how they're contributing. And also like shout out to our maintainers for Atomic Red Team. They are so cool, and meeting other people who care to help you. And like, they're taking time out of like their time, their day to help you. Like, oh my gosh. And like you said, Supriya, it's like waking up to those messages and being like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I love hearing this. And so being a person that literally, I'm going to quote Mean Girls right now, like, I just want to bake everyone cookies and everybody hold hands and hug. So every moment that I get those experiences in my community, I'm literally like crying in front of the mic with Mean Girls. So it's like, that's me, and it's amazing. And like, to see that and to see everyone contributing and like hearing other people answering other people's questions in the community that, you know, aren't the community manager or aren't the maintainers. I'm like, I like this. Like, how do I just make this happen all the time? So those are the things that.
Perfect. Well, thank you all. We are a bit over time. Thanks to this amazing panel for taking the time to like bring your insights and wisdom to everybody who's been watching and listening. And thanks to Wild West Hacking Cast for letting us all come and talk to everybody for a while. If you want to get in touch with these amazing people, there's stuff in the Zoom, there's stuff in the Discord. They'll post links in there. And, you know, we're just really, really grateful for the opportunity to come and talk to you all. So thank you again. Thanks for letting us go a little over as well. Appreciate that. Oh,
you're welcome. It was an awesome talk. We have a great community here, and it's cool seeing other communities come in and talk about their experiences. We were talking about the good things and that each of your different communities do. And we have, obviously, our community, they help each other. I think that that's the best thing about our community is they really, if somebody asks the 2 a.m. question and I'm not there to answer it, or somebody else on the team, they'll all jump in and help each other, which is just such a cool thing to see. So I think that it's cool to hear you guys' experiences as well. So thanks
Adam
again.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Again, I look so forward to meeting you in San Diego. Again, great information, and I know it'll be very relative to what's happening with our organization as well. So thank you again. Thank you all for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks.